Hi, welcome to Hope in the Light of Suicide. I'm Tammy White. I'm your host and founder of the Bobby White Foundation. Thank you for joining us this evening. Um, it's going to be another, I don't know how to say it, heartfelt. I don't know if that's the term show, but we'll get into that in just a minute. Because first, I have to thank my producer, John Gaston with Area 52 Media Group. If you want to do your own show, please contact him. He's so awesome to work with. We've been doing this for over 5 years now. Do it. Pull the trigger. And I want to thank our sponsors, Delane Gaston with the mortgage firm, Everything Mortgages, refinance, first-time home buyers, anything, especially first-time home buyers. If you don't know the process, she can walk you through step by step. She'll hold your hand, make sure you have everything right, make sure you got your credit right, make sure all your ducks are in a row. She is the gal. And also Tammy White Galleries and Custom Framing, the only independent custom framer in West Pasco County in Florida. From what I hear, she's the best. so, I don't know, at least last week, I can't remember, we're past that. We're working on leading up to, in a couple weeks, the anniversary of Bobby's death. It'll be 10 years. So I'm kind of taking you on a journey with me of what I'm doing for myself leading up to this time. So I want everybody to know, and when you're listening, that, this is a space where we can speak honestly about grief and the long road to healing. It's a place where broken hearts are honored, stories are held with care, and where we can remind one another that even in the deepest, darkest darkness, wherever we're at, hope can still find its way through. That's the name of our show. So tonight we're going to be talking about a loss that changes everything, and that's the loss or the death of a soulmate. Now, a soulmate doesn't have to be a partner. It can be a friend, a parent, a cousin. It, like I said, it doesn't have to be a partner. Most of the time, that's how soulmates are referred to, as a partner. And as I knew he would be coming up, that's Leroy, in case anybody's wondering. When a soulmate, what we're going to be talking about tonight is a person who has walked beside you through your life, and then all of a sudden they're gone. The grief isn't just pain. It can feel very disorienting. Your life was one thing, in my case, at one moment in time, and then 2 hours later, it wasn't. The future that you imagined disappears. I was preparing for his retirement in a couple of years. Your rhythm of everyday life changes. And after a while, the world moves on, everybody else moves on, and they expect you to move on way before you understand what has happened. So to help guide us through this conversation, we're going to be looking again at the works of the renowned grief counselor Alan Wolfelt and his compassionate book, When Your Soulmate Dies, A Guide to Healing Through Heroic Mourning. This book is available at his bookstore on his website. And actually, right now, it's on sales. I think it's like it's a few dollars off. It's not an expensive book, anyways. So, Dr. Wolfelt reminds us that grief is not something to get over. Instead, it's something that we learn to carry, honor, and move through with courage. In the opening sections of his book, he explores what soulmate love truly means. It's the deep, emotional, spiritual, and life-woven bond between two people whose lives have been intertwined in profound ways. And then he introduces the very powerful idea of heroic mourning. And he says heroic mourning is it's a courageous act of choosing to grieve fully rather than avoiding it, and allowing ourselves to feel the sorrow, the love, the memories, and the longing that comes when someone's irreplaceable. It's not a weakness. And it's really one of the bravest things a human heart can do. So tonight, I got to quit saying So tonight, we're going to gently walk through the first two chapters, reflecting on soulmate love, what it means to mourn heroically, and when that love continues even after death. And my cats. Another one just jumped up here. Okay. They're watching out after me. No, move. Oh, gosh. Okay. This is just crazy. I guess it's the universe's way to kind of help me through this. So, if you're listening tonight with this craziness going on around me, because you've lost a partner, a spouse, or whoever was the center of your world. Again, it doesn't have to be a partner. They're gonna end up on my unbelievable. You guys are really messing with my concentration. Okay, let me start this again here. If you're listening tonight because you've lost your partner or your spouse, so whoever was the center of your world, your grief is real. Your love is real. Your love still matters. And your healing journey deserves compassion. So, if I can keep these boys under control, we're going to reflect on what Dr. Alan Wolfelt describes as soulmate love. So, and how we begin to understand why the grief that follows that kind of loss is so overwhelming. Soulmate is simply not just a partner. They are often the person who knew our daily rhythms. Sometimes you have a private language. You have a shared history. We were together for almost 30 years. And you shared the quiet spaces of your lives. So when that bond's broken by death, the grief we experience is not only losing a person, it's about losing the life that existed between two hearts. And that's where Dr. Wolfelt introduces a powerful idea. Instead of asking us to be strong or to hide our grief, he invites you to consider something that he calls heroic mourning. So, heroic mourning is the courage to face grief honestly and to allow ourselves to feel the pain of love that continues after the loss. So, before we go to chapter 2, I'm going to present some questions that you might want to reflect on. And if you like, please share in the comments if you feel comfortable doing that. So the first one is, when you think about your soulmate, what is one small everyday moment you shared that still lives in your heart today? When you think about your soulmate, what is one small everyday moment you shared that still lives in your heart today? Man, I can think of so many. Oh. Every morning I would get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, even though I didn't have to, and make him breakfast and lunch and send him off to work. And even now, 10 years later, I don't have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. But you know what? My cats, who only one of them was around when Bobby was alive, they wake me up by 6 o'clock in the morning nearly every day since the day he's been gone. And that's the first thing I think of. And then sometimes it's like, you know, Bobby, I don't have to get up this early anymore and do this, but the cats make me get up and feed them. So the second one is Dr. Wolfelt speaks about heroic mourning, the courage to feel grief fully. What has been one moment in your grief journey where you realized how strong your heart really is? What has been one moment in your grief journey where you realized how strong your heart really is? I don't know that there's been one moment. I think really just off the top of my head right now, it could be finally saying yes to John to do this show. I don't know. That's just the only thing I can think of right now. But again, if you feel comfortable sharing in the comments. And the last one is, how has your love for the person you lost continued to shape the way you live your life today? How has your love for the person you lost continued to shape the way you live your life today? Well, for me, it was starting the foundation to help other lost survivors to do this show. And one of the main things is, as hard as this journey is, I just really want him to be proud of me. That's what it boils down to. Just want him to be proud. So grief after the death of a soulmate can feel like standing in a world that suddenly looks unfamiliar. It felt like it was like almost like a cutoff. My life before was one thing, and life after was so different. It was a different life. It's a different me. Everything was different. Even to how I felt about my job, how I felt about everything. As the person who once witnessed your life, the quiet mornings, the long conversations, shared dreams, none of that physically exists anymore. Like I said, I was kind of beginning to prepare for his retirement. I think he would have retired in 4 years, and getting ready for that. What was that going to be like? Um, we could do more things together. He could help me more with my business, um, but eh, your future was gone. Just all of a sudden gone. But you know what? Even though all that was gone, the love never disappears. My love never disappeared. It continues in memories, still in the habits that we had. I still do some of the things that we did, in the stories that only the two of us shared. I don't share with anybody else. So Dr. Wolfelt always reminds us that grief isn't something that you push away. Instead, it's something that we're called to walk through. Not quickly, not perfectly, but honestly. And that's hard, because grief is just a continuation of love. And when we allow ourselves to mourn fully, we honor the depth of that love and the life that we shared. So I'm going to do something that we haven't done before. We're going to take just 30 seconds, and it may not be 30 seconds because I don't know how I'm going to do 30 seconds. Maybe I can get John to tell me 30 seconds. So we're going to do a 30-second breathing pause, just a moment of reflection. But before we continue, I'd like to invite you to take a quiet moment. And if you're in a place where you can safely pause and gently take a slow breath, breathe in and slowly release it. Grief has a way of tightening our hearts and our bodies without even realizing it. So for just a moment, allow your shoulders to soften. Take a slow breath in. And let it go. If someone you love comes to mind right now, your soulmate, your person, simply hold that love gently in your heart. There's no need to push the feelings away. There's no need to rush through them. Just breathe. Love does not disappear with loss. And in this moment, you are honoring that love. Okay, I have an affirmation for you. So if you'd like to repeat after me, if it feels comfortable, I invite you to repeat these words either out loud or quietly in your heart. I am allowed to grieve the person I love. My grief is a reflection of deep love. I will be patient with my healing. Even in my pain, my love continues. I can carry both sorrow and hope. And today, I take one gentle step forward. In Dr. Wolfelt's book, at the end of, like all of his books, they're meant to be written, and he show you my book. These are all my tabs. He has at the end of chapter 2, because chapter 2 has he calls it grief as a quest. So right now I'm on this quest, and he has what is it called? I'm gonna mark my pages. To go through my heroic mourning. So on page 56 of his book, he has my grief quest commitment. And you fill it out. I have mine right there. And it says, on this 12th day of March, 2026, I, Tammy, soulmate of Bobby, who died 8th day of April, 2016, do hereby swear to slowly and over time fully embrace my natural, necessary, and larger than life grief, and openly and actively find ways to heroically mourn. My vow is to continually to move forward and ultimately reconcile my profound soulmate grief so that I can find meaning in my continued living. To this quest, I pledge my courage, loyalty, mercy, honesty, humility, perseverance, and love. And I signed it. I don't have a witness because it's only me around here. I guess I could get my neighbor to sign it. So, in the next few weeks, we're going to go through his 6 needs of heroic mourning, which are: 1, acknowledge the reality of your soulmate's death. 2, embrace the pain of the loss. 3, remember your soulmate. 4, develop a new self-identity. 5, searching for meaning. And 6, receive ongoing support from others. It is so, so important so that we can heal. We still have a life to live. So I wanted to share one last thing with you. I don't know. Well, before we close tonight, I'd like to leave you with this blessing. Wherever you are in your grief journey tonight, may you be gentle with your heart. May you remember that love does not end when life does. May the memories of the one you carry bring you comfort in quiet moments. May you find the courage to feel what you feel and the strength to take each day one step at a time. And when the day feels especially heavy, may you remember that you do not have to walk this road alone. That's why we're here. We're here to help you and to share. You help me. We don't have to do this alone. We can't do it alone in a healthy manner. It's just, we can't. So the next few weeks are going to be kind of like this. Hopefully, we can keep it a little bit light. We're going to have a guest on our April 2nd show. Bobby's sister is coming back. She was on in our first year. That was 5 years ago. So, anyways, for today's quote, we have an Irish blessing because St. Patrick's Day is coming up and my husband's family is Irish. Death leaves a heartache that no one can heal, but love leaves a memory that no one can steal. Please remember to keep these numbers in your phone, memorize them, be the one to help someone. Just one person is all it takes because there's always hope. But until we meet again, may hope find its way to you, even in the smallest light. Thank you.